Media, the sports media, refuses to acknowledge and give people the full story. Right now, all they're doing, well, they're shilling for the WNBA, and that shouldn't shock us. I mean, the sports media is woke, and they've been in the bag for the WNBA for years now, like it is. Well, they're doing it with the ratings. Oh my God, the ratings are so brave, stunning, and courageously large, except the ratings are literally.
What if the WNBA's biggest success story in a generation was built on a complete lie? The media is celebrating record-breaking viewership for the finals, but they're hiding a devastating secret in the fine print. A secret that proves the league is in a state of absolute panic without its one true superstar. If you've been online this week, you've seen the headlines everywhere. WNBA Finals viewership is the highest in 25 years. It sounds like the ultimate victory, a sign that women's basketball has finally broken through to the mainstream. But this triumphant narrative falls apart the second you look closer.
Different than they were any other year. But yet, the sports media, like Front Office Sports, will run a headline like this, completely misleading people.
The truth is, they're not technically lying. They're just not telling you the truth. What's really happening is a masterful display of statistical manipulation, a clever trick designed to hide an uncomfortable reality. They're cooking the books, and the media is letting them get away with it. It all comes down to one company, Nielsen. The official scorekeeper of TV ratings quietly changed all the rules this season. They introduced a brand new formula that now includes data from millions of smart TVs and set-top boxes, effectively changing what it means to be a viewer.
WNBA Finals most viewed in 25 years, despite possible Aces sweep. Oh, this was before the game ended, but this came out late yesterday afternoon.
This new method has created a phenomenon of ghost viewers. Nielsen is now counting screens in airport lounges, hotel lobbies, sports bars, and gyms, even if the TV is on mute and nobody is paying attention. If a screen is on, it's counted as viewership. It's not about eyeballs anymore. It's about plugged-in devices. Of course, the sports media is playing dumb. Outlets like ESPN and Front Office Sports blasted the record-breaking numbers across social media. But if you bother to read their articles, you'll find the real story buried in paragraph 5 or 6, a tiny disclaimer admitting the measurement system has completely changed. But by then, the headline has already done its job.
Won all 3 games of the series, which are drawing 13% more viewers than last year. No shit, because you're literally including a shit ton of new TVs in this whole situation. It is unbelievable. They'll run this headline and then in fine print somewhere tell the whole story. The WNBA Finals continue to post strong viewership through 3 games. Well, honestly, compared to Indiana Fever regular season games, especially the ones Caitlin Clark plays in, but hell, the ones she don't. Ratings don't look that damn big to me still.
The media's role here can't be overstated. They aren't just reporting the numbers. They are active participants in the deception. Look at the headlines they ran with. All nearly identical, as if copied directly from a WNBA press release. WNBA Finals highest viewership in 25 years. Despite possible sweep, one outlet cheered, framing the numbers as a sign of incredible strength when the real story was the statistical asterisk attached to them. They served as willing mouthpieces, choosing the sensational headline over the inconvenient truth.
Not giving people the full story in these headlines. Yeah, oh my God, that catches attention, and everybody can, ESPN can take a victory lap. All these media outlets saying, look, see, everybody's interested in the WNBA. Nah, you're just using different metrics, which is changing what the viewers.
So why would the league and its media partners go to such lengths? The motive is simple, and her name is Caitlin Clark. After a season built entirely on her star power, she didn't make the finals. The league was terrified that without her, the ratings would collapse, proving their entire growth narrative was a fluke. They desperately needed a win, and here's the most damning evidence of all. Caitlin Clark's regular season games, measured under the old, stricter system, were averaging over 1.5 million viewers, with some hitting over 2 million. The WNBA Finals, under the new, inflated system, barely scraped by with 1.9 million. You don't need a calculator to see the con. If the finals were measured honestly, Clark's random Tuesday night games would have crushed them.
We got the official viewership numbers for Game 1 of the finals, and this is from ESPN. 1.9 million viewers, which is up 62%, with its peak at 2.5 million. And this is the most watched Game 1 of the WNBA Finals in 28 years. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this data because I felt like the buzz around the WNBA Finals has actually been pretty low this season. I thought the buzz around the Lynx Liberty Finals last year had more buzz. Like, I was seeing a lot more people talk about that. Now, I have been seeing a ton of people talk about the game last night because obviously Asia's game winner was just legendary, and we are going to see that clip. We are going to see that photo for many, many of years. But up until last night, I felt like the buzz was really low on the finals. There were so many people who just weren't talking about it. They were talking about baseball, or they were talking about the NBA preseason or whatever, but it really wasn't focused on the finals. So when you see numbers like that, obviously those are great numbers, the best in 28 years. Another reason I was surprised by the numbers is because both games that were in Las Vegas actually weren't sold out, Game 1 and Game 2. And we also saw the ticket prices for those games. They were down to like $35. And then I believe the game last night was also down to like $10 per ticket. So it seemed like the demand for these WNBA finals had gone down a little bit, and both of the games in Vegas were not sold out. But I guess the TV numbers are still translating. So that's obviously a really good sign for the WNBA.
This is full-blown damage control. When your product can't deliver the numbers, you just change how the numbers are counted. It's an old trick. Redefine success to fit your results. Add a few million empty hotel rooms to the count, send out a press release, and suddenly you have a record-breaking year. It's a statistical illusion designed for one purpose: to control the narrative. But the deception goes even deeper. The finals viewership numbers are an average across several games, some of which aired on ABC. ABC is a free, over-the-air broadcast network available to everyone, while many of Clark's biggest games were on cable. Comparing the two is like comparing a free concert in the park to one that requires a ticket. The audience pool isn't even in the same universe. This entire charade is meant to sell a story of organic growth. The idea that the league is thriving as a whole, not just because of one player, but the reality on the ground tells a different story. The moment Caitlin Clark's season ended, the buzz vanished. Social media and engagement fell off a cliff, merchandise sales cooled, and Google searches for the WNBA nosedived. Before this year, Nielsen relied on a panel-only system, using a small, controlled group of households to estimate viewership. Now they've unleashed a big data model that scoops up information from millions of devices. It's not a small adjustment, it's a complete paradigm shift that makes any comparison to past years completely meaningless. This isn't just about numbers. For the woke sports media, this is personal. They spent all season pushing back against the idea that one player could be bigger than the league. Admitting that Caitlin Clark is the sole engine of the WNBA's economy is a truth they cannot stand, so they spin these fake narratives to protect their brand. This has become a full-blown culture war within sports media. The narrative they want to push is one of collectivism, that the league is rising together, that every player is contributing equally to this newfound success. The reality of a single transcendent superstar driving almost all the interest completely undermines their preferred storyline. Acknowledging Clark's singular power is, to them, an admission that their years of promoting the league in a certain way had failed to move the needle. Clark did in 3 months what they couldn't do in 3 decades. But they made one critical mistake. They underestimated the fans. The second these numbers dropped, the internet went to work. People started posting side-by-side comparisons of Clark's ratings versus the finals, pointing out the Nielsen change. The entire scheme was exposed within hours. What's fascinating is that this isn't just coming from critics. Even loyal, longtime WNBA fans are calling it out. They're tired of the gaslighting. They want to see the league succeed, honestly, not through cheap PR tricks that insult their intelligence. This isn't about tearing down women's sports, it's about demanding the truth. And here's why the league should be terrified. Advertisers aren't fooled by headlines. They look at real-world engagement, the comments, the shares, the cultural conversation. And during the finals, that conversation was a ghost town. Caitlin Clark's worst-rated game generated more social media buzz than the championship series. You can fake viewership, but you can't fake passion. This all points to a massive failure in leadership. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver have remained silent, hoping this story blows over, but their silence is deafening. They are overseeing a strategy that prioritizes short-term PR wins over long-term credibility. Instead of being transparent about the ratings change and managing expectations, they allowed a false narrative to run wild, a decision that will inevitably come back to haunt them. The league thought they could drop this bombshell headline, and everyone would just celebrate, but instead they got roasted. The comments were brutal. "Congrats on counting my dentist waiting room TV." One person joked, "The WNBA tried to pull a fast one," and the internet called their bluff, exposing an institutional arrogance that assumes fans are too stupid to read the fine print. Inside the league, people know what's up. Insiders have hinted that even the players felt the difference. The arenas were full, but the national energy was gone. When Caitlin Clark played, it felt like an event. Every game had a big fight feel. The finals, by comparison, felt like just another game. That's a vibe you can't manufacture with a press release. History has shown us how this is supposed to work. When Michael Jordan arrived, the NBA didn't pretend the league's growth was a collective effort. They built a dynasty around him and launched the league into the stratosphere. When Tiger Woods emerged, the PGA Tour didn't try to hide his impact. They marketed him as a once-in-a-generation talent, and the entire sport reaped the benefits. These leagues understood that a rising tide lifts all boats, but that tide is created by a generational superstar. The WNBA, driven by a strange mix of politics and pride, is trying to pretend the tide created itself. Now the real journalism is starting to catch up. Independent reporters are publishing breakdowns that expose the 25-year high as a complete fabrication. They've shown that if you remove the new data, the finals viewership would plummet, likely falling below even 1 million viewers. The lie is officially crumbling, and the league looks foolish. The long-term damage from this could be catastrophic. This isn't just one misleading headline, it's a credibility crisis. By knowingly promoting cooked numbers, the WNBA has eroded trust with its most important stakeholders, the fans who invest their time, the sponsors who invest their money, and the media partners who will now second-guess every number the league provides. Trust is easy to lose and almost impossible to get back. And this is where the panic truly sets in for the WNBA. They've played their big card. They use the Nielsen change to manufacture a win. But what happens next season? They can't pull the same trick twice. If the ratings don't show massive growth, even with the inflated system, it will be an undeniable admission of failure. It will prove once and for all that without Caitlin Clark, the hype machine sputters and dies. So, the WNBA is left with a hollow victory built on manipulated stats. They tried to prove they didn't need Caitlin Clark, but in doing so, they accidentally revealed just how desperately they do. Will the league ever admit the truth, or will they keep pushing a fantasy? Let me know what you think below. Hit like and subscribe for more reports the mainstream media refuses to touch.